It's Monday, August 7th, 27th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On today's show, we get ready for school starting this week by revisiting an Art and Applied Technology segment from this past spring. And we learn more about some very special rescued turtles who are on their way back to the sea. Let's start with some news you can use. Ann Quirk, Barnstable Town Clerk, has two reminders for us as the September 4th primary approaches. Number one, Friday, August 31st at 5 p.m. is the deadline to request an absentee ballot for the September 4th state primary elections. Absentee ballots must arrive at the town clerk's office before the close of voting on Tuesday, September 4th to be counted. Number two, voters in precincts 1, 10, and 12 will have new polling locations this fall. Residents of Barnstable Precinct 1 will vote at Zion Union Church, 806 Addicks Lane. In Hyannis, Marston's Mills, Precincts 10 and 12 will vote at the new community building of the Cape Cod Seventh-day Adventist Church, 2736 Falmouth Road. Both locations are ADA compliant. To confirm your registration if unsure, call the clerk's office at 508-862-4044. In order for students to understand the range and depth of the human imagination, they must have knowledge of the arts. The Barnstable Public Schools have long supported a strong and effective visual art program. In the visual arts, students express ideas and emotions that they cannot express in language alone. We spent some time at Geyer Barn during the Senior Art Show and spoke to the art and applied technology educators who make this department so unique.
We have a very special art program at our school, which is fabulous because the kids get to experience all types of art. The town supports the art. I've never known a public school where the art program is supported as well as we are. And they have many possibilities of what they can explore, and the facilities are pretty amazing. The ceramic facility is better than many colleges. So when they leave us and they come back and they say, I didn't know how good it was. I didn't know what I had. And I think that that's pretty amazing.
Art and Applied Technology, our department has that title because it incorporates what would be considered like traditional arts, painting, printmaking, drawing, sculpture, along with more technical, almost like engineering aspects. So we have a shop for fashion design, we have a woodworking shop, we have a ceramic studio, we have a film studio with digital media. So it's sort of encompassing what you would traditionally consider, art classes, along with what we call applied technology.
The students learn many things by doing art. One of them is how to problem solve and think creatively. And I think that's one of the most important skills that they can take away. Because as we know, not all students will be artists when they leave the high school, but the skills that they learn will carry them through their life.
If you look at the basic process of the basic scientific process, the scientific method, and then you look at an artist's method, they're the same process, but usually with a different objective. So if you're solving an engineering problem, you have a really specific problem that you're trying to solve, but the way you go about it is you have a hypothesis, you try some different experiments, and then you analyze, see what happened, and then you repeat the process over and over again until you find a solution that's durable and that works. If you're an artist, you're not trying to build a bridge that's going to hold up cars necessarily, but you're trying to solve an artistic problem, a problem of expression or of aesthetic, or a problem of communication. Those are kind of your objectives. But the process is the same. You have a hypothesis, you try a bunch of stuff out, you see what works, and then you repeat the process over and over again. So it's a creative process, a process of inquiry and discovery and repetition, usually, to get a good product.
So in woodworking, we have to spend a lot of time talking about designing and proper construction techniques. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about joinery, We want things usually be symmetric or to a certain scale. For example, this table was made a little bit smaller than a traditional coffee table on purpose. It had to fit into a certain space. It was designed for a certain area. And the student had to spend a lot of time figuring out all the different joints, how we were going to attach this bottom shelf to the rails, and designing all of that. So there's a lot of pre-work that gets done. So all the students in class are required to do a drawing with a list of all the materials they're going to use before they even begin construction. We figure out all the joints, and then after that, then we finally get the wood out and start trying to make our product. So there is a lot of pre-planning, and then in the end of it, after it gets all done, there's a lot of time spent finishing. So, I mean, there's a lot, and that's the boring part of woodworking, the sanding and the finishing work, but it really makes a huge difference in how the product, the final presentation of the product.
It's not usually the product. These aren't the products for me. The students are the products. So the students will surprise me, and after seeing a number of students make things that that are at a certain level, certain quality, sometimes really surprising, excellent quality. That's great, and we love to show off the objects, but the students are the real product. And having the students have the experience of going through the process of making work, of deciding what's important to them, what they want to show off, and how they want it to be shown off, and then being able to explain themselves to an audience. Can they talk to somebody, tell them what they did and why they did it in a compelling way? That is the most exciting thing for me. So like students that, like we have a student who has had 2 different shows at the high school where she had her own openings, and she handled her own press, and she taught classes basically. They would bring their class down. Caroline would talk to them about her exhibit, and she taught the class. And so she was, that experience, having her have that experience under her belt, doesn't matter what she goes on and does, that's going to benefit her. The same thing with, I'm thinking of another student who was, I think, a little shyer and more reserved as an underclassman. And now she has presented her work and her ideas to the art department staff. She's explained her work and why she's taking criticism. She's talked in front of larger groups about her work out in the community. And she'll be doing it again in front of, I think the Rotary Club coming up. So that kind of opportunity for the kids to make something, but then bring it out there, put it in front of an audience, see how they respond to it, explain themselves. I think that is, there's huge value in that. The kinds of students that the classes attract vary widely, and the reason the students are in the classes varies widely. So at Barnstable High School, the students have a number of different options for what classes they can take. So when they're a freshman, I think that they have 8 different introductory level art classes that they can take. So they can take wood shop, they can take fashion design, they can take digital media, they can take animation, they can take ceramics. We have a wide variety of different classes that they can take. Students take them for different reasons. Sometimes they're taking it because that is their absolute passion. They know at that time, they're like, I think I really want to do this. This is something that I want to do. I want to go to art school, or I want to go to film school. Sometimes they're taking it because it's an interest of theirs. They have always been interested in it. They've seen other kids, upperclassmen, doing something, and they're like, oh, I'd love to take that and be involved in that. Other times, they are looking for a good solution for their art requirement. They have part of the requirements for them to get a high school diploma is they have to take an art-based class, and that could be art or music, but they have to take a class. So they are looking for something that will fit that interest. You know, like that's one of the nice things about having the variety is because it's a requirement, they're not having to take one class. They can pick from a variety there. So they're there for a number of different reasons, and the paths that I would consider successful are really varied. There's some students that take one class, an introductory level class, they enjoy it, but they move on, they do something else. That can be a real success. If it opens their eyes to a broader world and another way of looking at the world, then that's a success. But we also offer them the opportunity, and all all those shops for them to take year 2, 3, and 4, so they can really get a deep knowledge of whatever that discipline is, if they so choose. That can be another path for success. That can be something that they want to pursue as a career, but it can also be something that they want to pursue just because it's an interest of theirs, and they really enjoy it, and they want to incorporate it into their lives. So I would say that there's many ways for the students, many reasons for them to take the classes, and many ways for it to be seen as a success, in my view.
When my students come in, Ceramics 1, they have never experienced it other than maybe making a pinch pot or a small coil pot in middle school. So they see that they're not limited in their scale. They're trying to explore all the various techniques of hand building, and they get to throw on the potter's wheel. And it's wonderful when you see them connect to what you're teaching them and sort of fall in love with what they're doing and say that they love coming to class and they look forward to it. It makes their school day.
Anyone can learn to draw. Anyone can learn to paint. You can make it super linear, and you can paint a photorealistic painting. Anyone can do it. Literally anyone can do it. But you have to have the patience and the belief that you can go through the steps and the repetition and the practice that it takes to get good at it, just like anything else. And so that the students who struggle with repetition and with practice, the technical side of painting something that's realistic might be really difficult for them. Just like anywhere else in the school, practice, repetition, attention to detail, organization might be a struggle for them throughout the rest of the school. Art does allow you other avenues for success. So you can paint something photorealistic, but you can also paint something that's expressive, that its objective is not to look just like a landscape. Its objective can be different. It can be trying to do something different, and a student may excel at that. The student that struggles with the photorealistic painting might really excel at a found object sculpture and really make amazing connections with what this object could be. Because oftentimes our brains are good at some things, but they're not good at all things. And we could be really good at making connections and at making associations, and not as good or need more practice with organization and with repetition and with practice. So I think a good art room offers all those students an opportunity to succeed and to practice the thing that they're not good at. I think you should be asking the students to do both.
If you look at the work that we have here, it is all unique and it's very expressive, and all types of kids from many different factions of our community come in and are exposed to the same thing no matter who they are. And if you look at the work, it's just amazing that kids in high school are doing work that is often like college quality. And I'm always impressed with the students and what they do.
I did mention earlier, this is only my third year working at Barnstable, and I think the art department at Barnstable is amazing. I mean, the full ceramics, the digital arts, the TV, all the different studios, the traditional fine arts classes. So the seamstress work. So there is a wide variety of artistic pursuits offered at Barnstable High School. I mean, it's a very big school. I think that's the advantage. You have such a big school that you can do lots of different things. And I think Barnstable's done a nice job of having a little bit of everything for all students in the arts. So it works out very well, in my opinion.
Barnstable High School is an amazing little community. And it's a diverse and eclectic and different group of people with all different backgrounds. And in the art department, we see everybody in the whole school. They all come together in the art department because they don't get, you don't end up having separating people out into honors or AP or these different delineations. Everybody takes the same introductory level class, and everybody has the opportunity to take it again and again all throughout their years there if they choose to. And that is a gift to us as teachers, and a gift to the community to be able to see all the different parts of our community together, and working together in the same room, sharing their ideas and sharing their work. So that's one of my favorite parts of the job.
The National Marine Life Center released 2 rehabilitated Kemp's Ridley sea turtles back to the wild on August 21st at Craigville Beach. Kemp's Ridley turtles are the smallest and most endangered of all sea turtle species. Channel 18 was there for this special event and spoke to Kathy Zagzesby, President and Executive Director, about the importance of rehabilitating these endangered turtles and public releases.
Turtles. Bruiser in front was less than about 5 pounds when he came in last November. He now weighs in at least double that. Guns on the right takes 2 people to hold right now. He initially weighed in also at about 5 pounds 3 years ago, and yesterday or today he weighed in at about 25 pounds.
Hello, I'm Kathy Zagzebski. I'm the President and Executive Director of the National Marine Life Center in Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts. At the National Marine Life Center, we're an independent nonprofit organization. We have a 3-fold mission: marine animal rehabilitation, science, and education. And when we can, when it's safe to do so for both animals and people, we do like to make our releases public. In part, these animals are our heritage as Cape Codders. They strand here, and we want to be able to share this success story with our friends, neighbors, and visitors to our place. Sometimes we're not able to. Sometimes the animals' physical condition, even if they're healed, they're very stressed out by people, so we don't want that to happen. Sometimes we physically can't even find a location that can accommodate a lot of people. We are very grateful today to the town of Barnstable, the Craigville Beach staff, and also the police department for helping us out and allowing us to use this wonderful, wonderful beach for the sea turtles. Gunst is a really cool turtle. So Gunst has actually been the turtle that's been with us the longest. He originally stranded in November of 2015, and he stranded cold stunned out in Brewster. He was rescued by Mass Audubon at Wellfleet and triaged at the New England Aquarium's Turtle Hospital up in Quincy, and then brought to us a few weeks later. And he initially, we treated him initially for the cold stun, the hypothermia condition. So we had to give him fluids, help build up his strength, give him some antibiotics, some antifungals, and address pneumonia and other types of health issues. But once he started healing from the cold stunning, then unfortunately, Gunst developed a secondary health complication that we see occasionally in the cold stun turtles, and those were a bone disease, bone lesions, or bone infection called osteolysis or osteolytic lesions. And it happens in some % of the cold stun turtles because the cold actually cuts off the blood supply to their joints. And he had a very severe case. It was in both front flippers and multiple joints in his front flippers. So we initially tried supportive care, because sometimes it will heal on its own with adequate support. That didn't work. He continued to exhibit stiffness in his flippers. The next thing we tried, we took him up to the Tufts University Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine, where they helped us out with a CT scan, and that's really helpful in basically being able to see the infection within the bone and confirm if it's still there and things like that. And it showed that he had some very serious case of the infection. Our veterinarian then collaborated with Dr. Innes, the veterinarian at the New England Aquarium, who's been successful in surgically treating some of these animals. So Dr. Williams and Dr. Innes performed surgery on Gunst, and that was successful. It removed some of the infection so that the bone could then heal. It was just a very long process after the surgery. It's been almost 1.5 years since surgery, and we had to give him physical therapy to actually physically move the flipper. Once it healed, it was still very stiff. Recently, about 2 months ago, we took him back up to Tufts for another CT scan that showed that it was healing. Some residual stiffness to his flipper we think was just because he hadn't been used to using it. So we did a resurgence of the physical therapy. At this point, he had grown and he was eating well, swimming well, And he finally, we weren't sure, but then we caught him when he thought we couldn't see him. We caught him using both front flippers. So we're excited that and confirmed by the CT scan that he is healed and ready to go back in the wild. I hope the public learns from a sea turtle release like this. Sea turtles are a great conservation story. These animals are all endangered. The Kempsridley turtles that we saw today released are the most endangered sea turtle in the world, and the reason they're endangered is because of us. It started with numbers being dramatically impacted by certain fishing practices, trawling and the like. Then development practices, so building on beaches that turtles would otherwise nest on. Now one of the biggest dangers to turtles is plastic, and we all share responsibility for the plastic trash that we put in the ocean. In the water, a plastic bag looks a lot like a jellyfish, which is one of these turtles' favorite foods. Even smaller pieces of plastic, microplastic, is everywhere. And so we need to address that problem of plastic in order to help both animals and us. So at the National Marine Life Center, we have a small visitor center, a Marine Animal Discovery Center. We're open daily throughout the summer through Labor Day, weekends through Columbus Day, and then select days throughout the year, including February and April vacation week. Most of the time we are free for the public. We do have certain days that are special fundraising days, so at that point we charge a modest fee. We have a visitor center that includes information about marine animals, strandings, sea turtles, seals, whales, dolphins, porpoises, the kind of animals that we see here that we treat at the National Marine Life Center or that we will treat at the National Marine Life Center one day. And we have most fun, I think, for everybody is that we have a live camera into our hospital. So for the safety of our wildlife patients, many of whom are very critically ill, get very stressed out by people, we really limit public interaction with them. We even limit our own interaction with them to try to keep them as wild as possible. But the public can see them at our visitor center by coming and visiting us throughout the year or throughout the summer and other times throughout the year. We also do offer behind-the-scenes tours periodically, and those are always advertised on our website and our Facebook page. So I'd just like to remind people, helping these animals is a collaboration. We work very closely with other nonprofit organizations. In the case of turtles, the Mass Audubon at Wellfleet and the New England Aquarium, and we all have a role to play in helping keep these animals safe. The National Marine Life Center is a nonprofit organization. We can only do this work with public support, and it's all of our responsibility to take care of these wonderful animals. So you can learn more about events like our education programs or our behind-the-scenes tours on our National Marine Life Center's website at www.nmlc.org.
Here's a look at the community calendar. A new Art on Loan exhibit at the Barnstable Town Hall is showcasing the work of local artists. Paintings and photographs by Maria Araujo will be on display through the end of September in the Town Hall Hearing Room and Selectmen's Conference Room. Araujo is a painter, graphic designer, and photographer who was born in a small town in Brazil. Her work spans many different subjects and settings. Although her passion is still portraiture, themes range from urban to suburban, the expected to the unexpected. Her mediums include graphite, acrylics, digital paint, and digital film. She has previously exhibited in the Cotuit Center for the Arts and the Provincetown Art Association and Museum, along with designing 2 murals in Barnstable, one at the high school and the other at Bismore Park in Hyannis. The exhibition is open to public. Town Hall is open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and is frequently open during the evening for scheduled meetings. Here is a look at this week's schedules for boards, commissions, and committees. Comments, suggestions, accolades? Connect with us on Facebook. Email us or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works for you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.